Hey, what's up? I would like to preface this by saying I know I'm a miserable person. I know I'm a miserable person. So, a lot of these takes are just me wanting everyone else to be as much of a killjoy as I am. Just so you know. Just so you don't watch this and you're not like, wow, what a cold bitch she is. Because don't have to tell me twice, dude. I already know. First of all, welcome to my island that some of you may have seen because there's an island tour of it that exists online. I've been in the process of redoing quite a few parts of it. Also, this outfit ain't necessarily it, but we're living with it for now. So I'm just gonna kind of run around and clean shit up and potentially continue designing some things while I tell you about the terrible opinions I have of this game. I have like a whole Word document typed up so that every time I think of one of my hot takes, I've written it down so that it would be easier for me to make this video. Starting out, I hate lazy villagers. That's right, everyone's favorite fucking villager type. I hate them so much. I have one lazy on my island. I'm very particular about like the villager types I'll take because I like having diversity on my island, but that's a different topic. So I have one lazy, and it's Bo, and I had two lazy types at the start of the game, and I think having those two just really did me in because I was so miserable hearing about their stupid fucking bugs all the time. I hate it. I hate their dialogue. I think it's stupid. I don't understand why they need to constantly talk about their bug friends. It just makes me feel like they're very dirty little animals that are so lazy that they don't clean their house. And so they have bugs that start to live there, and instead of cleaning it, they just decide to befriend those bugs. And I just really don't vibe with that kind of personality. Not the kind of people I like to surround myself with. It's like not a very detailed point. That's like the most tame one, and it's very much an opinion. Like, I'm not out here thinking that everyone should hate the lazy villager types. I do think the lazy villager types need a slight rework. I think they could use a little more detail to them, but I think all of the villagers could use more detail to them. Which brings me to a hot take that I don't think is really all that hot, but I'm going to say anyway because I'm very it's like my number one like thing that I think this game needs the most is improved dialogue, especially with oh my god, I got all my reactions. Sorry. Especially with villagers, because talking to your villagers is one of the only things you do in this game, right? That's like one of the main objectives. And the fact that all of them say the same thing over and over again really drives me up a fucking wall. Like I said, I started out with two lazy types and I just couldn't do it because they told me the same things. And then I had two peppy types and it was the same thing. I was like, dude, I can't handle this. I thought I just hated the peppy villagers, and then I ditched one of them. And now I love her because she tells me unique things. But all of the villagers, if they're the same type, are exactly the same fucking villager. There's like no point, which is why I do not understand how people can have like 5 different lazy villagers or 5 different normal villagers on their island. Because aren't you sick and tired of hearing the same 2 lines of dialogue over and over again? Because I sure was with having one duplicate. The only villager type that I am okay with having more than one of is the normal types. Because I have both Poppy and Marina. And in my experience, the 2 of them have told me like different things pretty frequently. Like, I think just because the normal villager type is such a broad like classification, I guess they have slightly more diverse dialogue, and I'm sorry in advance that I'm gonna keep running around in circles because I'm not entirely sure what I even want to be doing right now. Yeah, so I'm like, there's like one villager that I want who's also a normal type who I'm definitely going to take even though I already have 2 normals because whatever. But I just pray to God that they update the dialogue diversity. It's absolutely ridiculous. I think it's borderline an unfinished game because of that. Like, just, I don't know. I can't. I'm about to get into a different point if I go off on that rant. But I guess I could transition into where are the fucking mini games? Again, I don't think this is necessarily a hot take because I think a lot of people have been asking about where are the mini games, like why isn't there anything to do in this game, especially in multiplayer mode, and considering how much they focused on having this be multiplayer, the fact that there isn't anything to do is a little rough. But so, like, in relation to stuff like villagers, back in New Leaf, things would happen with your villagers, little things where it would be like, come over to my house, and then when you went over to their house, they would like have things for sale, and you could buy those things, or they would visit you and actually come inside, or they would play hide and seek with you, or like they have the treasure hunt in this one, but that is literally the only mini game I've experienced with your villagers, and I don't understand why they took out so much interaction in the form of those little like tasks. Almost like it was fun to have to remember an appointment. Like, you would set an appointment with your villager, and if you forgot it, they would know you forgot it, and then they'd be sad about it, and they'd get pissed at you, and they'd be like, dude, we said we would meet at your house at this time, why weren't you there? And I just miss that kind of, like, they don't feel like neighbors anymore. So I guess this is kind of a blend of please update the fucking villagers and please give me more mini games. And obviously in the realm of mini games, there's also things like Tortimer's Island, where it was like you could go there with your friends and play those actual formatted mini games. And I'm really surprised that they took all of that out, considering how much they focused on multiplayer for this game. Like, there are so many things you can't do now because of the way they focused on multiplayer. Like, you used to be able to get all of the fruits in the game without traveling to someone else's island. That's not a thing anymore. You can't, like, no one sends them to you in the mail. Your mom sends you one at the beginning, but she used to send you a lot more in the older games. And your villagers would send you fruit in the older games too. They don't fucking do that now. So you're just screwed if you don't want to get, not that, like, obviously Nintendo online subscriptions are not very expensive, but the issue is by having players rely so heavily on multiplayer, you're really destroying the longevity of this one. Like, I went back and restarted my New Leaf game like a month ago or something, because I was like, oh, it would be fun to play this one and see what the differences are, because I played the shit out of that game. I played so many hours on it. And, like, nobody plays New Leaf anymore. Like, some people do, but it's very difficult to play online multiplayer for New Leaf. And in a few years, like, obviously Animal Crossing is booming right now, but in a few years it's not going to be. And then it's like, players that are new to the game in 5 years, what are they gonna do? It's gonna be such a smaller community. It's gonna be so much harder to get all of those things that you can't fucking get without using multiplayer. In my mind, like, I very much like playing with other people. Obviously, I play with other people constantly. I think that's, like, added a lot to the game for me. But the reason it's added a lot to the game for me is because there isn't as much option to be solo. I just remember this being a very insular game, and they haven't really given you the option to be insular anymore. And considering how absolutely shit their online even is, with all the disconnections and, like, updates and the long loading screens, and it's like, it blows my mind that they really thought they should make it a very online dependent game. I don't, just a way to sell more shit, dude. Okay, speaking of online as well, this is definitely one of my spicier takes. A lot of people will probably hate me for this one. I don't think you should be able to sell your turnips at other people's islands. Now hear me out. This game never used to have like a super intense economy the way it does right now. Probably just because it was like a much smaller game. Like, not half as many people were playing it all at the same time. And like I said, in past games, it was much easier to be able to get all of the items you wanted to get on your own without trading with other people. So now they've kind of fucked the economy by not only forcing you to get a lot of items from other people because you can't get a lot of color variations from your own Nook store, but so they've created a very imbalanced economy. And because of the abuse of the turnip system, everything is so pricey. And of course, like, the dupe thing that happened in the beginning also raised a lot of the prices because so many people were duplicating. But I think ultimately it comes down to the fact that it's very, very, very easy to make millions of bells every single week. And so everything is astronomically priced. And for the more casual player, it's just like not an option. So not only do you have to trade to get a lot of things, which I don't even like doing, but you also have to pay these astronomical prices because everyone is doing the turnip game on other people's islands. Ultimately, in my dreams, what they would do is they would update the game so that when you travel to a different island with turnips in your pockets, the turnips would rot. I don't want to be that asshole, but like, as a game dev, I just think they kind of fucked themselves out of having people utilize all aspects of the game by allowing turnip trading from island to island. And obviously that's always been a part of Animal Crossing. Like, that's always been something you could do. And so I don't think they saw the sudden influx of this, like, massive community, like, organizing to sell their turnips to everyone's island when they have, like, those 500 spikes and stuff. But now that it has happened, I think they have a responsibility as game designers to be like, hey, we want people to make bells through, like, not even less. We want people to make bells through more of the intended ways. Because people are only making bells from the stock market, which I guess is like, I don't know. It's not necessarily my problem. Like, I know people can do what they want. This is just sort of like, in my opinion, I think it would make more sense to have to play to your own economy. It's the same way you can't sell to Flick on other people's islands. You can't sell to CJ on other people's islands because it's fucking overpowered, dude. You could make millions every single day. And that's exactly what you can do now. Not to mention, you could time travel to a Sunday every single day, only to sell them at someone's island with really good prices. Like, as long as you don't travel backwards, your turnips don't rot. And that brings me into the next point, time traveling. I have absolutely no problem with time traveling. I always used to time travel in my older games. I haven't done it at all in this game just because I started this island with my boyfriend and he did not want to time travel because he never did that. So I have managed to stop. So I have no problem with time travelers, but I do miss when the game punished you for time traveling. There is no punishment in this game. There's none. Like, I get that people can play however they want. That's totally fine. I don't care how people play. But I do care that the game designers decided that it was okay to take out aspects that had always discouraged you from cheating the game, essentially. Because, like, I know a lot of people don't like calling it cheating, but ultimately that is what you're doing, especially if you're using it to do things like get a lot of bells or, like, move your things faster. Like, you're ultimately speeding up a process in the game that was not necessarily meant to be sped up. And so there deserves to be some sort of punishment for that. So in the old games, if you time traveled, especially like if you jumped a year or some shit, your villagers would move out. Like, they would move out without asking you. They would just be gone. You'd time travel forward and then see the empty plot. And it was like, oh God, my favorite villager left because I time traveled too much. I have no idea why they stopped making that a thing. I really, really love that you get to pick your villagers in this game, because that is one thing I'm finding a lot of frustration with going back to New Leaf, is that I'm totally aggravated that I have absolutely no say in who moves into my town, or like where their houses go. But I do just miss the actual random chaos of knowing that your villagers could move out if they wanted to if you weren't playing consistently. And so by time traveling, you weren't playing consistently because they would think you'd be gone for months at a time. It's just, ultimately, it's nice, in my opinion, to have a level of chaos to a game that is essentially a life simulator. It's the same way, like, a lot of the Sims community complains that there isn't enough randomness in the game, because what you want is some element of surprise when you're playing these kinds of games. I don't know if everyone that plays Animal Crossing feels that way, but that's how I always felt about it. It's like there is an element, especially in New Horizons, where you can control almost every single thing about your island. That's all well and good, but nothing changes. So like I finished my island, essentially, like my first pass through of my island, I finished it and I suddenly had absolutely nothing to do because there's nothing in the game that changes. And even something as simple as like a villager leaving when you didn't want them to suddenly forces you to play the game and to figure out what you're gonna do. Like you don't have to make the express decision. I don't know, I like being punished in games. As bad as that sounds, I feel free to disagree with me. I know most people do, because I have talked to people about this, because I get very frustrated. I don't know, because the other thing is that now it really, really affects the economy in regards to villager trading. Because your villagers never leave, there's like these giant price tags on these villagers that people want to keep forever and ever, and I just don't understand it. Like, imagine if someone paid like 400 Nook Mile tickets for some villager only to have them move because they kept time traveling. I just think that's like so poetic. I'm here for that kind of chaos. Oh, okay. So in regards to that as well, it just, if they are truly like your neighbors, like these are your little Animal Crossing villagers and they live with you in the town, it makes no sense to me that they have absolutely no free will in regards to when they can leave. Again, this is obviously like my opinion. This whole video is just my fucking opinion. But I don't think the point of this game is to keep the same villagers forever and ever. Like, I have always felt that the beauty of Animal Crossing is constantly like finding and making new friends. Like, it's getting your heart broken by your villagers leaving and then finding this new great villager that you're very excited to have on your island, or like not excited to have. Like, it's fun to hate the villagers in this game too. Again, in my opinion, I don't know. That's my 2 cents on the villager talk. I am almost positive that's one of the most unpopular opinions I have, but I'm sticking by it. My next part was brought on by that video that was like a dream update or something. Somebody like edited together this video of quality of life. That's what it's called. Of like dream quality of life updates. I'll link it if I can find it. I probably can, because I know it was very popular. And one of the quality of life updates was that you could skip through dialogue you had heard before. Like just completely skip it. Which I got into an actual fight with my friends over, because I was like, oh, that video was kind of interesting, but why would you want to skip over the dialogue? That's so stupid. That's one of the only parts of this game. And they were like, that's not the part of the game that I like, so I want to be able to skip through it. And like most people's examples when you say that are the airport and Blathers. So is that the only dialogue you want to skip through? You want to skip through the airport and you want to skip through Blathers? Because I have some issues. So with the airport, I totally get it. I completely understand. I think that dialogue is clunky. I don't think the answer is to skip through it faster. I think the answer is them actually updating the fucking UI and the dialogue, I think it's sloppy. Like, I think it was lazy. I think this game has always been very clunky in regards to really fucking long dialogue. And they did it with Sahara. They updated it so that you didn't have to talk to her every single time. She would continue the conversation. So obviously they're capable of updating some of the dialogue. I think that is a much better option than asking them if we can skip through dialogue we've heard before. I genuinely think it's one of the only parts of the game. Like, you talk to your villagers, you talk to your NPCs, like, you design your island and stuff, but ultimately when your island is done being designed, what is there left? There's dialogue. You know, I don't know, it rubs me the wrong way. So, with Blathers specifically, I see it all the time. People complaining that they wish he talked less. Oh, his name is straight up Blathers. That's his character. Let the boy talk. If you don't like it, say, nah, I'm busy. Like, you don't have to listen to what he says. I don't know. You can also hold down B to speed up their dialogue. No one is holding a gun to your head telling you that you have to slowly watch it transpire. You can very easily fast forward without, like, just straight up skipping through things that'll take you 5 seconds to fucking fast forward through anyway. That one really pissed me off. That whole quality of life update video kind of pissed me off, because I think a lot of people just don't... See, but that makes me sound like I'm, like, an Animal Crossing elitist or something. Because I'm like, oh, wow, the old games were never streamlined either. That's part of the charm. Which, to an extent, yes, but also obviously, like, again, as a game designer, there's, like, things that they should have done that should be cleaner. Like, it's not cute to be sloppy in your UI design and stuff. Like, there's no purpose to it. It doesn't benefit anyone. So yeah, that's my rant on that aspect. I think I have, like, one more point. And it's another one of those things where I'm just being a complete and total Animal Crossing elitist. Which, I'm sorry in advance. I warned you at the start of this that I'm an absolutely miserable person. So I don't think you should be able to move your town hall. I know that literally everyone I know that literally everyone all the time talks about how they wish they could move their resident hall building. Bro, that is one of the only things you can't do. I know that that's not a good reason. I know that it, like, oh, well, just because we got more than we did before doesn't mean I should be happy about what we have. It's not that. It's that picking your map at the start of the journey has always been one of, like, the key factors of playing this game. Like, picking the map and then having to stick with it. And obviously, like, this time it's been so much more fucking lenient. Like, you can change almost every single thing about your map. Like, my map, I didn't terraform nearly as much, at least in the beginning. I've terraformed more now that I'm, like, going back and redoing parts of my island. But, like, you used to not be able to change any of this. And again, I know that's not a good reason, blah, blah, blah. I just think good design happens when you have limitations. If they had no limitations, all y'all would be bitching even more than you already are with all the freedom you have in this game. Because everyone all the time is like, I don't know what to do with my island. I'm ripping into the ground and I'm so confused now. And obviously it's very overwhelming to redo your island. I've never done that. I probably could never do that. Just because it sounds very stressful. But imagine if you could also move your resident services building and move your river mouths. The chaos, dude. Design is better when you have limitations. And the only reason all y'all want your resident services buildings to be able to move is because you want to do that basic fucking waterfall entrance anyway. Who cares, dude? Look at how close my fucking resident services is to my airport. Never once have I cared. And I know that I sound like such a I'm gonna have to, like, beep out some words in this one. I sound so annoying. I'm sorry in advance for how annoying I sound. I don't know. I just don't think... Restart your island. Like, if you really, really want it moved, restart it, dude. I have one more point, and that point is only, please God, give me more things to spend my bells on. I think this is more of a me problem as opposed to, I mean, most of these are a me problem, if I'm being honest. But just because I very much planned exactly where I wanted everything on my island, so I only had to pay for everything once. And then when I had paid for everything and I had laid everything out, I suddenly had absolutely nothing to spend bells on because this game doesn't have the stuff that New Leaf had. Like, we don't have public works projects anymore, which I just disagree with them excluding that. I love that you can place things down outside. I would never take that away. I love being able to just put this down and then move it around without having to pay for it. But I do think that some aspects should have been public works projects, even if it's like you build it and then you can pay to move it. Like, you can pay to move houses. So like something like the lighthouse or like bigger windmills or like in New Leaf, things like Brewsters were optional or like the police station. Like, you didn't have to build those. Those were public works projects that you could choose to build or not build. And I just really hope that when they do start adding in more buildings, which please, for the love of God, add in more buildings, I really, really hope they're optional in that way, because I see so many players complaining about, I don't have room on my island, I'm not going to be able to put these new buildings in, I'm going to have to redo the whole thing. Like, I don't think you should have to have that stuff on your island in the same way that you didn't have to have it on your island in New Leaf. If they implemented public works projects again, it could very easily be implemented that way. And then I could also just spend my fucking bells on something. Like, I have like millions sitting in the bank now. Because of turnips, because I'm an idiot who got too much money early game anyway. Like, I just think it would allow me to grind towards something. Again, there's just nothing to grind towards. There aren't big enough bills for me to pay. Like, once you pay off your house, that's it. Not to mention you get absolutely nothing for even paying off your house. I think that was about it. I did almost nothing on my island that entire time because I was thinking very hard about what I was saying. So the game footage is going to be a little boring. But I hope you enjoyed the talk. This is the most I've ever talked while filming, I'm pretty sure. I have a lot of opinions. I have a lot of terrible opinions. And like I said, I'm a very miserable person. I already know. Please feel free to comment down below telling me how miserable I am, how elitist I am, how much of a hipster I am. Believe me, I know. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, I have quite a lot of others. Not quite a lot. I have quite a few others. I have a lot of Sims build videos if you're into that. I eventually am going to do a tour of my island when it's done. For the second time, because I had one earlier that's on Nintendo's channel. If you're curious, like, comment, subscribe if you would like to. I try to put out a video every single week. What day of the week it happens on is really up to fate and my mood. So let me know what you think about all of these opinions. Do you hate them? Do you agree with any of them? What are your hot takes on Animal Crossing? And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!